how often do you need to communicate with the board?
I'm in front of the board every quarter. So it's like clockwork. It's part of the board agenda. And that also gives me the ability to create a relationship with the members of the board, establish a cadence and get used to the way one another communicates.
I obviously present at every board meeting. It's security, it's product, it's engineering, it's all of these different things. You want to see where we were, where we are now, where we're going, how do I get there, what are my obstacles?
This one that just came in from Andrew Aiken. If the board executives are primarily interested in quantifying risk reduction for the inception of any new project, what's the best tactic for calculating that reduction in risk?
If we're talking about new projects, the conversation becomes ultimately what the architecture of the project looks like, what the technology solution or the process solution, the frameworks and outlines that are going to support that, and what threat models those bring to the forefront, right? And that's where the conversation is, right?
Would you often have to fight the external FUD that would come into the board?
I would say more than anything, though, we would get that from the exec team. And there's questions like, are we affected by this? What are we doing about this? And then my favorite, are we secure?
From John M. What do you use for a credible benchmark data to compare yourself against your peers?
There's not a singular source. There are varied sources, but the beauty of it is they're all backed up by science and referred to as part of the board deck. That way, in case folks want to go look, they can kind of read and review that stuff.
You definitely don't want to rely on one source for everything. It lacks context and doesn't make sense. We look broadly across industries and see how things are doing. And in general, year over year, things are improving quite a bit.
This question comes from Matthew Thompson. How do you determine what risks or metrics to even bring to the board? And does your board have an official cyber risk appetite?
You've got your overall global risk framework, right? Cyber is just another view, another component that you track. I think in many cases, it depends on what the appetite of the board is and kind of what they want to see. But for me, it's more of a continuum of the security program.
I'm not a fan of mean time to remediate. It breaks it down, and basically you're looking at the things that you fixed and you're looking at how fast you fixed them, but you're not looking at the things you never fixed at all.
Really good question that just came in from Brian Solaria. Where do first-time CISOs learn how to address the board? What are some good learning experiences you have?
The whole notion of public speaking and trying to convey ideas that are highly technical to largely non-technical staff, that's something that all of us should be practicing on all the time. I'd be lying if I didn't say the first couple were a little rough, right? You get feedback and the feedback comes and you need to be prepared and put a little ego aside and figure out how to get better. But the trick there is you got to take your feedback and pivot and just keep on cranking.
Let each vendor present metrics from their tool to your board. How are you going to beat this bad idea?
I'm going to create some sort of summary, show the board all of the crap that I have to deal with from vendors and how if I had enough funding that I could build a team around this to make sense of all of this nonsense for them.
I'm going to make sure that their meeting is set up under my Zoom ID that I control, and I'll probably drop the meeting 3 seconds into the mix and site connectivity issues.
Forward your threat intelligence feed to the board so they can stay up to the minute on potential threats. How are you going to beat this bad idea?
I'm going to create a filter around my threat intelligence feed about things that actually matter. And then in the end, they will see almost nothing.
I'm just going to make sure that the data flows throughout my environment and I could shape the information such that what they see matches what my roll-up is at the quarterly level. So their data should complement what I show them every quarter.
Eli Migdal, he's got a good question. Now that cyber risk quantification is becoming more common, is there any real life usage to showing risk scores alone without a financial quantification?
I think decisions that you make that have direct outcomes on technology decisions may not always culminate into direct financial impacts. I think some things are very, very tackable to cost. Other things are not. And it just gives you a view of where you are in the continuum.
Should board members decide what they want to see with regards to metrics, or is it the responsibility of the CISOs to define what metrics are actually shared?
You want to kind of control what the story is and anticipate questions. Surprises in a board meeting are always bad. You should be controlling that narrative and you should present the metrics that you think are important to the business, but you're going to also have to explain why they're important.
Ian, set us up. What are the two what's worse scenarios?
The first one is treat all board meetings like the party game, 2 truths and a lie, when you give metrics. Or tell your board, our vendors said we're secure, so we have nothing to worry about.
Yeah, that's easy. It's the vendor one, right? Two truths and a lie. I actually kind of like that idea and might take that to my next board meeting.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a no-brainer for me, and I actually like that idea as well. I'm gonna have to think about that.
Another question from Brian Solari, and he asks, how do you explain technical risk to non-technical board members in a way they can understand and take the appropriate action?
One is you always try to translate it into business terms, right? And two, we personalize it. We try to make it relatable. And make it a bit about the business risk. If you're talking about technical risk to a board, you're creating more problems than you're solving, because again, it's about their narrative, and ultimately that technical risk is going to result in something, right?
What we do is kind of talk about the broader narrative around likelihood, risk, impact, the group of assets or the group of things that you're talking about, right?
I want to ask the last question here from Phil Wolf. How much do you educate the board outside of board meetings?
In my current situation, it's well beyond just board meetings. I even talk to those guys on a regular basis, have dinner with them. We're constantly talking about these topics.
Creating a consistent delivery model that marries what you're trying to present and why, and more importantly, why it matters to that audience. Trying to convey something in a way that inspires a combination of awareness, confidence, and still informs. It's a continuous learning evolution.
One of the things you want to kind of assert is a kind of a baseline of this is where we were, this is where we are, this is where we're going, this is how we're getting there. And then showing those lines. It's a long-term story. It's not a one and done board meeting.